Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Li-Ning Liren 4. So this shoe is freaking expensive. It goes around 180 to 200 bucks depending on the colorway. So if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave a link in the description box. Obviously this is the Christmas colorway and I really like the theme of the shoe for Christmas. I think it looks really good. But let's get it started right off with the traction. So we have a very aggressive, tightly bound herringbone traction pattern. You know, the grooves are very close together. And we have this kind of like alternating color for this colorway, right? This kind of like very light blue and also this mint green color, right? That looks pretty cool. So how is the traction? The traction feels really good, especially on a clean court, right? So if you're playing on a clean court, you're gonna be good to go. You have a nice little squeak as well. It's not super duper loud, but it is there, which of course has nothing to do with performance, but I like to have a little bit of a squeak, right? So that was nice. So yeah, if you're playing on a clean court, amazing bite. I would say it's pretty much top tier traction, right? However, it does pick up a good amount of dust and it picks it up pretty quickly as well. So that kind of sucked. The dust performance isn't great. I would say it's good though. It's not terrible, right? I wasn't sliding around like crazy and I wasn't slipping out dangerously or anything like that, but it was picking up dust pretty quickly. So that kind of sucked, but it is a very easy wipe. So it wasn't a huge deal for me. One thing that I really don't like is just like really getting in there and trying to wipe off the outsole. But for me, like I said, it's a very light wipe and I was good to go, right? But I just needed to wipe a good amount because it does pick up dust pretty quickly. So just be careful with that. If you don't mind wiping, obviously it's not a huge deal. But if you want a shoe that doesn't pick up dust really at all, the Liren 4 is not the best option. If you're playing on an outdoor court, you should be fine. There's a lot of grooves. Look at that, you know? And also with this herringbone, you have very hard rubber. Grooves are deep and also very thick. So outdoor use, you should be good to go. It also says tough rubber right here. You know, it's basically made for outdoor use. So overall traction was really good. You know, it wasn't top tier, but I would say it was really good for me and I enjoyed playing in this shoe because it did have good, nice traction, right? Now moving on to the heel to toe transition, it was very nice because of how springy this shoe felt for me, right? So here in the heel, we have a nice rounded shape, as you guys can see, and this midsole is very caged. However, the cage is still kind of soft, so it doesn't feel super clunky here in the heel. And then moving here into the forefoot, we have a nice curve shape. Look at that. Super nice curve shape, so we have a nice rocking motion from heel to toe. And also, look at this. We have a very flexible forefoot, but we have a good amount of like springiness to it, which feels very nice. And also we have a pro bar lock here. It's basically a midfoot chain plate. But you know, the flexible but also springy forefoot felt very nice. You know, out of the first step, it felt great. And I definitely noticed it comparing to like other shoes that I was playing in. Like the GT Cut Academy is a little bit more flexible. It's not super springy. So when I changed from that shoe to this shoe, I definitely felt the more springiness here in the Liren 4, which felt great, right? So heel dominant strides down the court was very smooth, especially with this kind of pop in the forefoot. And now moving on to the cushioning set. So this is one of my favorite cushioning setups of recent memory. This is really freaking nice. You know what I mean? So it's just, okay, for me personally, zoom strobel, especially like even full length zoom strobel, is a little too much for me at times, right? So I was playing the Jordan 38 low as well. Right, I was playing this shoe, you know, testing the AE1s, GT Cut Academies, GT Cut 3s, alongside all of these shoes, kind of like rotating, right? And this cushioning setup was freaking amazing, you know? So it's not, obviously it's not as bouncy as the full-length zoom strobel setup found in the Jordan 38 low, right? However, it still has a good amount of bounce. It's still very bouncy. It's just the right amount of bounce for me. It kind of reminds me of like a nice bouncy full-length setup, but not as bouncy and not too much like a zoom strobel unit. So kind of like a, you know, the LeBron 11, you know, with the drop-in midsole, Lunarlon, and a full-length zoom bag underneath that, right? It's obviously, it's not as bouncy as that, but it's just like the feeling is this very very similar, however a little bit less bouncy, which felt amazing. You know what I mean? So the court feel is still pretty dang good. It's not amazing for court feel. You know, something amazing would be like the AE1 or the Harden Volume 7, but also it's not terrible. It's still a pretty good court feel. I didn't even say what the foam is. It's full length boom. We got full length boom. It's exposed here on the medial side, but also if you remove the insole, right? Oh, well, first of all, the insole is all right. You know, we have a pretty nice kind of like elastic feeling insole, which feels nice, and then underneath that we have like this like foam strobo board, and I feel like that's what it is. It gives this like kind of springiness, kind of like elastic bounce to it, because full length boom setups are very very nice, right? Full length boom like in the AC12 or the Wild 10, you know, very very nice. However, it feels even bouncier in the Liren 4 setup. I don't know what it is. I don't know what they did. Maybe it's the strobo board, you know what I mean? Because the AC12 and the Wild 10 uses like a soft mesh strobo board. This uses like a foam strobo board, you know. But yeah, it's freaking bouncy. Impact protection is amazing, you know. Heel strikes, whatever, you're covered. Forefoot, you're landing on your forefoot very hard, you're covered. It has nice bounce as well, like I said, in the forefoot, in the heel. Step and coverage is amazing. Underfoot cushioning is amazing. So this is a really really nice cushioning setup, and I enjoy playing in the shoe because of that. So coupling that like bouncy foam, right, bouncy cushioning setup with the springiness in the forefoot also kind of helped, you know, like keeping me on my toes out of the first step. It felt a little bit springier, a little bit more responsive than most other shoes, which made the shoe feel really really good too. I guess one thing I would change is maybe the caging. You know, there is a lot of caging here in the midsole, especially here in the heel, so there's not as much compression, but again, that's just me nitpicking. It's still pretty nice, you know. It has like a softer rubber or cage, so it still has a little bit of compression. But anyways, this cushioning setup is one of my favorite cushioning setups of recent memory. Like, this is super duper nice. So there's that. Moving on to the materials, we have like a mesh material, so they're calling it the ultra shell material, and it has very good ventilation, right? So we have a lot of airflow here in the toe box, here in the tongue, and also here on the sides of the shoe on the lateral and medial side. So ventilation is really really good. One thing I am worried about, however, is durability. This upper does not feel like it'll be very durable, you know what I mean? Especially if you're playing on an outdoor court doing toe drags and stuff like that. So just be careful with that. But other than that, it feels really nice on foot. You know, as you guys can see, it's a very very thin upper. It conforms to my foot really really well. It's overall very supportive too, and we do have some fuse. As you guys can see, we have like a very like thin kind of mesh material, and then underneath that we have like this underlaying blue material. It's probably like some type of fuse, and then underneath that we have another mesh material here in the toe box. So it's like a triple layer, very very thin materials, however. And then here in the midfoot, stays extremely thin, but also we have kind of like these straps going down, so they're connected to the eyelets, and once you tighten the laces here in the midfoot, kind of like squeezes over the top of your foot and giving you better lockdown and support. So that'll be good for support here on the lateral and medial sides. And for the tongue, we have very very minimal padding. It's also a half booty construction tongue, you know, it's just like very very thin open mesh material going underneath all this. And then here in the ankle area, I would say there's an average amount of padding. So overall, the material feels really minimal, which I do like, and it feels really nice on foot. It doesn't feel super duper cozy because there's not a whole lot of foam on this upper, but for me, I really liked it because I like a very minimal feeling upper. However, like I said, I am worried about the durability, so just be careful with that. And now moving on to the fit, I went true to size, and this shoe fits extremely snug, right? So lengthwise, my toes go very very close to the edge of the shoe. Also here in the toe box, it's extremely snug, which I do like. And also widthwise, I would say it is slightly narrow, especially with this plastic piece. You can kind of feel this on the side of your foot a little bit, so just be careful with that. But yeah, if you want a snug fit, go true to size. But just be careful with that because, like I said, it is a pretty snug fit. If you want a little bit more of a looser fit, go up half a size. And if you have a super wide foot or you want a really roomy fit, probably go up a full size. But for me, it was an extremely nice snug fit for me going true to size. So there's a fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown. I mean, I'm good to go, right? As you guys can see, for the lateral counters in the shoe, it is adequate. It is good enough here in this shoe, right? So here in the forefoot, we have these kind of, it looks like a tooth a little bit, you know what I mean? Or maybe like a little mountain. But it is this plastic, and it is coming up acting as a sidewall. We have a little bit of a peak here as well. like at the tippy toe, you know? And then here in the heel, we have this kind of cage, right? So it kind of comes around, it cages the cushion, kind of comes up, acting as an external TPU heel counter, and it kind of comes around and kind of cages the cushion as well a little bit, right? So lateral containment, I was good to go. My foot was not coming out of the footbed at all, and it did worry me because this mesh material is pretty thin and soft, but it felt overall supportive enough for me, right? So that felt really nice. And also lateral stability. Look at how freaking wide this shoe is. It's a crazy wide base. This protrudes out like a lot. So lateral stability was good for me as well. And coupling that with kind of like the higher cut of the shoe. It's a high top shoe, which I appreciate because it didn't feel restricting for ankle movement, but it felt nice for ankle support, you know what I mean? And also I do like the overall cutout of the back of the shoe here because yeah, some shoes, like I've been playing the AG4 Soar as well, and that shoe is like freaking high, you know? But because of this cutout here, it allows my foot to bend like this, you know? I mean, if you want ankle support, you don't want your foot to bend like this, and that's how you roll your ankle. You know what I mean? So yeah, overall support and lockdown was really good for me. And now moving on to the weight of this shoe, I feel like it's around average weight, you know what I mean? Like 12 ounces. Yeah, it's pretty much average weight. 12.55 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 12.4 ounces, right? So the average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. So that's pretty much very, very average weight for the Liren 4. And yeah, it felt very good for me when I was playing it, right? So the upper, like I said, super duper minimal. And then for the traction, when I was playing on a clean court, I felt extremely quick and very, very responsive, you know what I mean? The only problem was when I was playing on a dusty court, it was sliding around just a tiny bit. But like I said, if I kept up with my wipe, it was good for me. The cushion also with that bouncy foam, right underneath my foot. And also, like I said, with the springiness from the actual like flex of the forefoot, kind of felt like it was propelling me forward a little bit more than other shoes, which I really did like. So there's the weight there. Moving on to the aesthetics, I love this shoe. You know, this colorway is really, really dope. And also some of the other colorways that have come out look absolutely amazing. And the overall design of the shoe looks great as well. I love how kind of like bare bones this heel counter is, you know what I mean? But it's still there for support. So yeah, tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, this shoe is freaking nice, guys. I enjoyed playing in this shoe thoroughly. There are two little cons to this shoe, you know. The upper durability is the one thing that does worry me, especially if you are playing on an outdoor court, but obviously that's not really anything to do with performance. But also another thing that I didn't really like that much was performance on dust, especially since I was playing with shoes that was really, really good on dust. You know, like the AE1, the GT Cut 3 was good on dust as well. So coming from those shoes to the Liren 4, I definitely noticed like me sliding around a little bit more on the dusty court. But again, like I said, it wasn't terrible. So, and also with the cushioning setup being as bouncy and nice as the Liren 4 is, I didn't really mind it all too much, you know? So yeah, if you're a guard, you're gonna love playing the shoe. And I just found out the Liren 4 V2, it should be coming out soon, and that shoe is a low top. So I'm super duper excited about that. I definitely want to get those and try it out. But yeah, if you're a guard, you're definitely going to love this shoe, especially with the bouncy cushioning setup. And also, if you're a bigger dude, you should be fine. You know, support's good. You know, it's also a high top shoe as well. And it also has really nice cushioning. So I feel like this is a really nice shoe overall for most players. And again, like I said, I enjoyed playing in this shoe a lot. So anyways, that about concludes my performance review of the Li-Ning Liren 4. Again, if you guys want to cop a, try to leave a link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.